and Ukraine to fight against the Russian man. So now we're gonna fight against the Chinese man, Winnie. And so,
I mean, are we? Because here's the thing. So he says that
who, Biden?
Biden, well, yeah, hard time. So the cabbage says that he says in a press conference that he would basically defend Taiwan. Mm-hmm. But then the leaks from random people come out that that's absolutely not the case. That's his position on it hasn't changed, which is the U.S.'s policy when it comes to Taiwan has always been to remain, what was the word they used?
Neutral?
Yeah. It's like that wasn't the word. I'm trying to figure out what it was. Anyways, basically it is to remain a neutral stance and just kind of be a bystander and not look. So when you make a comment out loud, like, well, we're going to stand with Taiwan, then that clearly heightens tensions, which then brings us to this leaked phone call that came up, which I believe it was between
today. It just happened today.
Yeah.
So just people understand what ended up happening was that in the Civil War, like in China, government lost. They went to the island of Taiwan and they started like their democracy. And so in 2021, Xi Jinping, is that how you say his name? I never know how to say Winnie the Pooh's name. But he basically vowed to reunify with Taiwan. He didn't mention that it would be by force, but we do know that the government of Taiwan does not want that. So now President Trump's out of office. He sees Russia's move or invasion on Ukraine, and it's kind of like an open format, open floor for him to say, well, the U.S. is at its weakest point. We can actually move in to Taiwan, take over. One of the things that he said, or one of the things that this leaked audio said, is that the Chinese Communist Party discusses military plans they plan to deploy about 140,000 soldiers, 933 ships. And I quote, they say, smashing independent forces and not hesitating to start a war, the top leadership discussed. They also talk about defending national sovereignty and territorial integrity. So this leaked on Twitter today. It made its rounds around different accounts and stuff like that. It came from an Indian newspaper or an Indian source.
There was a
right?
meeting happening between.
I don't think it came from no, it wasn't. It didn't come from a meeting. Just the Indian newspaper broke the news. Basically, that's how we got a hold of it. But if this does happen, I actually don't foresee Biden doing much against China, and if they did, it would be screwed.
I think that's kind of the deal, that it's everybody's kind of confused by his original statement of saying that he would stand with Taiwan, because that's just not the policy of his administration.
Yeah.
So he just like went against all the
experts he's done that
on live
multiple
TV
times.
And then like kind of looked around and walked away. And then it's up to these, anonymous leakers that then go to the press and it's like, oh, well, that's not what he meant. And no, we won't be doing that. But meanwhile, what it does is that, China has access to our press, so they're watching it doesn't matter how many anonymous leaks comes out. The acting president of the United States comes out on TV and says, yeah, we'll go toe to toe with you if you come for Taiwan. Those are pretty
harsh words.
Yeah. So it seems like in times past, there's been doubts that the Chinese power basically had the military power to take over Taiwan, but that's not necessarily the case right now.
We have bases
like
in Taiwan. That's also
correct.
That's also the case, that we have military bases in Taiwan. So,
but they are in a very powerful position right now, which then strikes where there was a sense of like, well, China would never even try. We're not entirely sure that that's the case anymore.
Yeah, and especially, like I said, watching Putin do his thing in Ukraine and not care, and it's turned out for his advantage, whether they canceled him from the world or not, and Russians, the Russian economy is not tanking.